Michael, we are here again, episode 20. We are rocketing through these. We've only got six left after this one.
6 left.
This is the episode Destruction, with the return of Philip Maddock playing a seemingly completely different character from when we last saw him.
I think it's his brother.
And I'm assuming you have a synopsis for us.
I certainly do, unless, of course, Mary just likes men in uniform. Right, okay. Under the command of Admiral Sheringham, the Navy has been dumping into the sea containers of an experimental nerve gas which prove to be far too dangerous to ever be used. But Shadow discovers that the Admiral's secretary, Sarah Bosanquet, has been subverted by aliens through a powerful telescope. This is absolute nonsense. With which she watches the skies. Either they must stop her giving away too much information, or it may be too late to prevent the UFOs from finding the containers and releasing the gas, thereby destroying every life form on Earth. Or something a bit like that. Actually, I don't think it is.
Well,
sorry,
okay.
Even I've lost my temper with this particular synopsis.
Yes. Okay, so it's mostly not like that. But the one thing that definitely is true about is that if the aliens succeed in what they're trying to do, everybody on Earth dies, right?
Yeah, got you. Check.
At which point, their supply of bodies, which is the only reason that they come to Earth, as far as we can tell, will be dead. So why are the aliens doing what they're doing in this episode?
I have no idea. You see, I hadn't even spotted that.
Because I think up to that point, you're like, it's a really intriguing episode. There's the mystery of what's going on, which the synopsis spoils in the first line. With they're dumping the stuff into the ocean. Yeah, that's kind of what the whole mystery is about in terms of Straker is trying to find out. And it's interesting to see Straker frustrated by red tape, because usually he's the one that kind of has
He's the one putting the red tape up, yeah.
Yes, and in this case, he's trying to find out what the secrets are. Yeah, but it's just, I think that for me, the whole episode, although it's great in many regards, it falls slightly flat, because you then kind of go, huh? Why are the aliens doing this?
No, you are absolutely right. Forget it, I no longer like the episode. Move on.
No, go on. Tell me what's good about it, Michael.
Are they trying to... Well, right, this is the single most Thunderbirdsy, I thought, episode there is. There's a big thing going on, and some people have to fly in and save the day.
Or submarine in and save the day, as is.
Okay. True.
Yes.
Yes, I've got some issues with certain bits of the programme, like Paul being used as a gigolo. And... which we're going to have to cover that in a minute. But and there's, like you said, that other thing. But also the nerve gas, which is too dangerous to use. They are implying that kind of war has become secondary to the human race, because we're kind of evolving and these weapons aren't needed anymore. But it's a very suspect... It's like, we'll hire the British Navy to get rid of the nerve gas. Their system for getting rid of it is ridiculous. Right? They're going to send it to the bottom of the sea and not worry about it for 200 years. What?
And also have a delivery system, which means that it has to be chucked off the ship by people, one canister at a time.
I know. They don't just go, right lads, we're here, open it up. It's ridiculous. And I know it's a stupidly deep trench, because even Skydiver can't make it to the bottom.
Yes.
And I really don't like the way that she keeps going, right, we've reached the edge of our operating term depth. Let's go twice as deep. And you're like, let's not. Why don't you send a drone down? Some sort of robot or a camera on a unmanned submarine that won't resist the pressure, and then no, let's not do that. Let's do that. Let's send down somebody who isn't manned. It'll be fine. I'm sure you've got something.
Yeah, but then where would all the drama be and all the Stingray music be?
No, again, it's but there's more submarine engineered drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right, okay. Now, can I just say the relationship between Henderson and Straker at the beginning of the episode? That is just a weird conversation, and it's the bit where they're bickering like an old married couple, and then well, literally like an old married couple. He just goes, and now toast. And it's like, no, thank you. It's like, what?
Well, it's also the fact that and maybe it's because it's Henderson visiting Straker in his office, but it seems that Straker has the upper hand, which is not largely how the relationship between the two of them has been characterised up to that point.
True.
Also, did you notice that Henderson is looking a little bit thinner than when we last saw him?
I did not notice that. Is there a reason?
There's a very sad reason, actually.
Is the actor particularly unwell?
He's dying.
That would be about as unwell as you can get, yeah.
And he looks worse in Mindbender, which is his final performance. It's brilliant, and I don't want to spoil it for you because you haven't seen it yet. Yeah. But yes, at this point he's suffering from the terminal cancer that would kill him shortly after the wrapping of production.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I don't think I particularly noticed it when I first saw UFO, but once it was pointed out,
you can't unsee it. Yeah.
That in this second production block he's considerably thinner. You're like, yep, he is, and that's just because he's dying, and it's a testament to the man that he carried on, and still gives I mean, he doesn't have much to do in this episode. I mean, Mindbender is his proper swan song, but the fact that he carried on was able to keep that character going when he must have been particularly unwell.
That's really sad. I had no idea.
Yes.
I feel a bit stupid saying my next statement then in that case. But I'll plough on anyway.
Go ahead.
Right, okay. There's a word Straker uses halfway through. Now, I don't know if it's a word that's used in America and isn't used here, or if it's a word that doesn't actually exist. Now, right, I've managed to let go the fact that nobody can pronounce the word telemetry correctly in this whole program. Right? I've let that one go.
Okay.
Telemetry, it's a little bugbear. Every time it gets mentioned, they say it just weirdly. But he says the word ironical.
Oh,
Is that a real word? Now, I've actually been singing the song "Isn't It Ironical?" Don't you think? In my head for every time I've watched this episode, and I can't shift it, and it's really annoying me. And it shouldn't, because it just interferes with the whole flow of the storyline.
Yes.
The hidden Stephanie Beachamness of the whole thing, the whole build up and everything. But all I keep thinking of is ironical. Is that a real word? So anybody listening to this in the States or anywhere else in the world, you can tell me, is ironical something you lot say and we don't, or have I just completely misheard the program?
According to the dictionary on my Mac, which is American, annoyingly, it says that it is an adjective, or adjective, as some Americans pronounce it. It's got a C in it, folks. Yes, using or characterised by irony. Oh no, hang on. That's ironic. Oh yeah, and then it says the derivative is ironical.
Right.
But it basically takes you back to the same page. So
yeah, I'm gonna just accept the fact that it exists, and it was perhaps a word that was used in 1970.
It does jar though, doesn't it? Because you're like, what?
Yeah. But like I said, so have you noticed telemetry? I
can't say that I have. I'm going to notice it now every time, aren't I?
Next time it's on, you're going to go, oh yeah. It's mainly when they're about to send up the space probes and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's not important. What is important, however, is Stephanie Beacham. I got so excited. I kept going, Stephanie Beacham. Didn't she play the Rani? And I got completely thrown. I know she didn't. And I got completely thrown on that. I was like, yes, I've got one for this week's. It's going to be fine. And I was like, she didn't. She really didn't. That was somebody completely different. This is the person who was in Coronation Street. She was in Star Trek. There was Next Gen. She was in DSV. I got all that. That I could remember. Yeah. Couldn't remember. I was like, no, that's Kate O'Mara, you absolute idiot. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, because Stephanie Beacham, very famous actress, and she's in this, and that's fine.
Yeah, for me, she's very much her off Sequest DSV because I got into watching that a few years ago.
I watched it when it was on the first time. Yeah.
Well, yes, I missed it first time round, but she's brilliant. And then leaves in the second series, and I've only seen like a few episodes of the second series and gone. This isn't anywhere near as good as it was.
No,
partly because
Darwin the dolphin used to annoy me a lot. Like episode 1, I want to play with the ball. I want to play with the ball. Episode 2, dark is light and light is all. You're like, what? Whoa. Your mental capacity is just massively swollen. He's gone from being like somebody who wants to play with a little ball to someone who's like Nietzsche, right? Right? And I can't believe I can actually quote what Darwin said word for word there. I need to get out more. Right, so yes.
That is a show that is a sort of successor to Anderson's
Voyage to the Bottom
stuff.
of the Sea.
But it's obviously done with CGI rather than models, so it looks rubbish.
Yeah.
Compared to this. Anyway, so Stephanie Beacham is what's his face's Conquest of the Week, which is a horrible aspect of the story. I mean, it's one of those things that you just the idea that anybody would sleep with him is the premise of the show, really, isn't it? Or one of the premises of the show. Which is just very annoying and dated.
Sorry, I've got it playing in the background, and I can see it, and I've just, because the sound's off, I can look in the background of the thing, and there's a map of the world behind the naval intelligence people, and America seems to have slipped. That's a very odd map.
I can't say I noticed it myself.
Everything on the left-hand side, Hudson Bay is gigantic. What are they doing? That is a weird map.
It's a bad projection of the world.
Yeah.
I guess we used to seeing more accurate maps these days, aren't we?
I suppose, yes. Maybe we are. I don't know. Maybe because they're the Navy, they want more sea. I don't know.
Yep.
Right. So, we're off topic, same as always. We've got Paul, who's playing spy / gigolo. Now, you know when Straker tells him to take out his latest conquest and give her a good night out, does he need to keep receipts? Right.
I mean,
sure, a good time, yeah.
One assumes so. One assumes that he's doing it on the shadow dime.
Yeah, right. Also, she lives in town, and she's got a telescope that powerful, which can only see out of one tiny window.
But Straker says, I reckon you could see any point in space from here, and you're like...
Anything over there, then. Just that one corner.
Like, that bit... Like, when Earth is pointing in the right direction, then you're fine.
Oh, right. Now, that has annoyed me so much. The whole... Because the Earth's spinning, the moon's spinning, stars are all over the shop, because they're fixed, apparently, and you're supposed to look in one direction with the coordinates, and then you position a spaceship between you and the coordinates, and then the laser, right, fires through, but it goes straight through. Right? The whole point of a laser is that it doesn't go through things because it's light.
Yes.
But that just goes straight through the interceptor, and it's like, right, I get you. What you are is wrong.
Yes. It's a load of twaddle. But it means that we get to see Stephen Burkoff doing his "I'm being electrocuted in a spaceship by some light" acting, which is quite funny.
I know. I think the designer of the room really needed to have put a conservatory at one end.
Yeah.
To have the telescope in it would have just been better. And I mean, it's nice that she's an expert on, that she's not a thick character, and it's nice that she's an expert and she's got a hobby that's interesting.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been a major intrinsic part of the plot, you would have been like, hey, that's well done. That's a nice bit of character building. It's like, hey, she's interested in science and stars and things. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not, here's a big clue to the fact that she's in communication with the aliens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see that.
But I mean, they lay it on very thick with the, who's this photograph on her table? And have Foster pick it up, and then immediately, well, not immediately, but shortly afterwards, Straker kind of going, here's my massive remote control for my telly that I'm going to
Getting
click
back to-
and get his picture up.
True. Getting back to Paul, when he gets sent back on his special mission by Straker,
Right.
he gets told to leave the key to the apartment. Right? How did he get how's he got a key? It's like date 2. Is he stealing keys?
Well, that is a possibility that he's had a copy made or he's stolen one off her. I mean, I'd like to think that it's that rather than she's given him a key. Let's do that. Yes, I think. Yes,
let's go down. You know what? That just makes me feel better. Let's go down.
That's less creepy.
It's not uncreepy. It's just less creepy.
Yes. Yeah. And then we have Virginia Lake doing her stakeout. And you just want Bill Bailey to come in with his guitar, don't you, and do wow 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 wow. Because it's a stakeout. Watching through her window with grubby dust on the window and looking away at the key moment when she smashes a vase because she's eating her ham sandwiches and apple. So
I know.
Anyway,
can I just say this is a lovely episode because it has a reoccurrence of Straker's special case.
Oh yeah, the negative case. Which plug. You can buy a T-shirt with that on from our Redbubble shop, which we haven't plugged for ages, and nobody's bought any more T-shirts off us. But the Keith Ford Rock shirt and the Destruct Negative shirt and the Do Not Enter shirt are all available. Any profits go towards the running of the podcast. Or if we ever make a profit, a donation towards the Alzheimer's Society.
And I think the world should have Keith Ford Rock's T-shirts. Really should.
Oh, did I tell you that?
You didn't tell me.
Somebody took a video of me wearing it at ShadowCon and said they were going to send it to him.
Nice.
So I don't know whether Keith Alexander has seen a video of me wearing a shirt with his face on, but it's entirely possible that he has.
Can I just say this is an open invite for him to appear on the programme? It would be I'd love to interview. Let's face it, the guy was in the majority of the episodes.
Yeah.
And he's going to have stories. It would be great. It'd be such a great person to interview.
Yep.
So, let me see. Now, let me just have a look at my list. I've ranted about Ironical. I've talked about Stephanie Beecham. We've took the mix something. Have we discussed Dennis Spooner or anything?
Well, we need to talk about Dennis Spooner when we come to Anderson Watch and Doctor Who Watch.
Mm-hmm. Oh right, no,
because he's an important figure in both. But this is his only episode of UFO, so
fair enough. What do you reckon to the fact that they chose the name Boson K?
What does the name Boson K mean?
You see, to me, it's just Reginald Boson K, who's a newsreader on TVAM, right?
Right.
And that's it. But it's just such a long surname. And if you were coming with a character, you'd go... Characters notoriously have short names. It's very rare that you give a character a long name because you can't be bothered to type it. And they're always referring to her as Miss Boson K.
Miss Boson K, rather than Sarah.
Yeah. And it's just really annoying. And I don't know why she's called that. And also it's one of those words with Q's in it for no reasons. I'm having another spelling rant, and I apologise. That's happening almost every episode. If there's a drinking game, please feel free. So have we established if it's filmatic? Because obviously in this he's got no beard and he's getting to talk.
Yes. Oh yes, because he had a beard as Mary's husband. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So he's more. Which of his Doctor Who characters were clean shaven? Elec or Fenner?
He's not Solon. Yeah.
He's not Warlord or Solon. Yes. I mean, he does a great job of. Okay, the weird thing about it is when he walks out of the room and the guy says, "If this goes wrong, it could be the end of life on Earth," and he smiles slightly, and you're like, that is not the correct response when your boss is saying that if you get it wrong, everybody's going to die.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't get it. But do you think Dennis was given the list of? It's like it's UFO. They're here. We don't know why. and he thought, oh, aliens, I've done aliens, they're going to invade, they probably just want to kill us all, and didn't bother reading anything about what the aliens actually want.
Well, I mean, you don't see any aliens in it. It's just the UFO, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously, he's got the whole they need to get past Moonbase aspect of it, because that is an element of this episode which is sort of briefly touched upon and then largely ignored. It's just a sort of afterthought that they explain, oh yeah, they're doing this thing and we can double the frequency and then it'll all be fine. So he clearly has been briefed on certain aspects of the show. Yeah, the thing that I don't get, right, is that at the end of the story, it's revealed that she's being blackmailed, presumably with the threat of, we're keeping your father alive. If you do what we say, then he won't come to any harm. But then
I've got a theory about that. Go on.
The scene where she kind of walks around her apartment and drops the vase, that seems to suggest that she's being briefly possessed. Which those two things don't seem to kind of quite match up, really.
No, I think they've used her dad's DNA or something along those lines as a hook to control her.
Right.
Because I think he's dead, and they've used his remains as... so he might be an alien, and they're using some sort of connection to make her... Because she definitely looks possessed.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
So I don't think... Cause the fact that he was involved in the making of the Moonbase itself, a bit of a surprise.
But at the same time, it's quite clear from when Foster confronts her and says, "What have you told them?" that she knows what she's doing. It's not like she's possessed, does the thing, and then forgets about it. Which the way that she acts sort of seems to suggest that she doesn't really realise what she's doing. But the implication later is that that she knows full well what she's doing. So I don't know. It doesn't seem to be entirely consistent. So
no, you're completely right. There is a lot of extraneous footage in this at all, because there's a lot of scene setting. Let's put that. It's not just on board the ship. It's not just external shots of ships and things like that. There's a lot of stuff about Horse Guards Parade to try and locate where the Admiralty is.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you're not in the UK, you wouldn't care or know. You would just go, oh, meanwhile in London. You wouldn't, you know. Yeah, but you see, Wanda's using, because I've got it on the background, Wanda's using the special Luke Skywalker style binoculars.
Yes, and the sort of the traditional sort of binocular mat is that kind of shape, but then Philip Maddock and the other guy on the boat are using normal round binoculars, and they still have that square mat.
Oh, that's an oversight. I didn't see that. It didn't register in my head, but
it's listed under "Oops" in the Bentley book. I didn't think I noticed it, and then it was suddenly like, oh yeah, I've read that in the book, and now I'm watching it going, oh yeah, thank you for pointing out that error.
See, last time's story, I liked it for the atmosphere, but this one I just find a bit. It's kind of the excitement. It's got exploding things. It's got a race against time, and all of those things on a certain level. I just kind of enjoyed. It was literally just down to, oh yeah, I'm enjoying this. It's nice. It's decent. It's not boring me. It's not. It's got atmosphere. It feels like there is a race against time, and I like that. The Admiralty have got a secret. They've got a job to do, and the people at UFO who pride themselves on being able to find all sorts of facts out can't do this. They can't get it right. They don't know, you know, they can't find out what this thing is that's happening, which I absolutely really like. I like the fact that they can't do that. So like Straker's kind of beaten. I mean, I've discussed the flaws, that communications device and things like that, and that's just a bit annoying. But like, I am quite forgiving when it comes to drama. It's like, oh yeah, it registers in one part of my brain, and then that part of my brain just goes, it's a telly program, let it go.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a. I don't think I like it as much as you. I think, like I said, the flaw of it doesn't actually make sense what they're doing, because it sort of defeats the point of why they're coming to Earth. But as the way it's put together and the way it's acted is pretty good. And it has,
I
like
think,
you say, it has a bunch of people in it that you like from other things.
True.
With Maddock and
Yeah.
Stephanie
I
Beecham.
think Wanda's overused. I think she would have been best used either on board the skydiver or in the surveillance role.
Right.
But now you couldn't have used Paul in the surveillance role because that would have been he's dating her and now he's watching her through a window, and that would have pushed it a bit far. Right. But
yes.
And I suppose sending him on board the ship means that he couldn't have dated her as well. So you would have perhaps another character being used for surveillance is possibly I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
but I mean, it's nice to have her featured though, and to kind of go, well, actually, here is this, and there's nothing made about her gender really. I mean, we had the character who she replaced, who is totally sexist to her in her first appearance in the first episode, and it's almost like she's playing a totally different character in that episode because she's very much kind of, oh, I'm actually scared by this whole thing. Whereas in this, she's much more steely, I think, and matter of fact, and playing the kind of, yes, we're going to go lower, and we can push Skydiver to its limits, and all that kind of thing. And it's almost like she is playing the same functional role in the story as he did, but there's no mention of her gender, at least not at this point in the show. I mean, you've seen most of the rest of the episodes. They do make a good team by the end of the show, and I think I'm disappointed that we didn't get more episodes with her as a second in command.
No, you're completely right. You're completely right. Yeah, Steve. Right? Can I just say I've just realised something that happens in relation to last week's episode. Stephen Burkoff is basically attacked on board his ship.
Yeah,
which is very similar to what happened in the previous episode, and Straker goes, "Oh yeah, is he fine?" The doctor goes, "Yeah, of course," and then sends him back out again. He has not learnt. He has not learnt how to treat his staff. The human resources department is shocking in Shadow.
It's slightly different because in the last episode, it's very much a case of this guy's just lost his wife, or at least she's been abducted. There's very little chance of seeing her come back. His pregnant wife, okay. Yeah. That is a totally stupid decision. With this one, it makes it very clear that the medical guys have given him the go-ahead and said, "Oh, he's not suffering."
But what pushes him over the edge is the fact that he's the person who launches the missile to destroy the UFO with his wife's remains on it.
Yeah.
So in a sense, even if she is alive, he kills her. That's the point where he should have took him home and went, "Have a few days off."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, but that's what he does, isn't it? He's basically saying, "No, you're relieved from duty. We're going to let the other guys do the Venus probe." I think this is a totally different circumstance. And I think in this one, it's more written as Straker is just going with the advice of the professionals on his staff saying, this guy is okay to fly again. Whereas in the previous episode, it should just be, yeah, you muppet. And particularly as someone who'd lost his own child earlier in the series, right?
Yeah, which I still keep forgetting, yeah.
Maybe it's just he's in denial and not ever allowing himself to grieve for the loss of his marriage and the death of his son. Maybe you could say that's what it is that leads into being less sympathetic, because all he's got left to live for is running Shadow.
I see your point.
I don't know. I'm trying to make excuses for the bad decisions that he makes.
Yeah. Oh, right. Can I just say before we move on, right? We've been discussing on and off the existence of some sort of, well, I've been milking this, to be fair, I'll be honest. The existence of, not the UFO audio, which would be lovely. No, UFO, the role-playing game.
Right,
and,
yes.
I've gone in between, because I know we haven't been recording as often as we should or could. We've been recording exactly as often as we could, which isn't very much at all. But we should have recorded more. I've been gathering all of my old role-playing kit.
Right.
And I've been doing a bit of research. And GURPS, Generic Universal Role-Playing System, has two particular scenario packs that you could get. And one of them is called Atomic Horror, which is all 50s B-movie stuff. And the other one's called Black Ops, which is a bit more X-Files-y stuff. If you combined those two rules and created a handful of characters, basically you'd have the UFO role-playing game without much work at all. And
Okay.
that would just be so cool. So after we finished our run here, I think I might throw myself into that for a little bit, just to produce like character packs for Straker and things like that, because I'd love to be able to do that. It's like, in fact, there should be a whole ITC version, because there is a prisoner GURPS available, which I do own somewhere. Yes, I do own it, and it tells you how to run the prisoner role-playing game. It's very expensive to pick up on eBay.
Right.
Okay. But I think I bought it when I was working in Dillon's, the bookstore, years ago, and I never got around to playing it, but I do own it. And I thought, hang on, if that exists, other ITC stuff might exist as well. So there should be like a whole Anderson GURPS Jerry Anderson thing, where you could have the Fireball XL5s, the Captain Scarlets, things like that, or perhaps separate packs. But start with UFO, go down that road, it'll be fine. So yeah, I have given this far too much thought.
So the thing that I've been thinking of all through this is a board game, because I really love the Thunderbirds board game that came out a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I bought all the expansion packs for it because I'm a nutter like that. And all through this, doing the podcast, I've been thinking about how you would make UFO as a board game.
Nice.
And also, more recently, how you do Captain Scarlet as a board game as well. And just trying to come up with a mechanic that works for the game. Because there are aspects of the Thunderbirds game that you could transfer across in terms of you've got different characters, you've got a secret organisation, different characters could have different abilities, and then with the Thunderbirds game, it's a cooperative thing where you're kind of fighting against the Hood, but the Hood is kind of the board game fighting against you. And then there's an expansion which means that you can then play the Hood. And with a UFO game, it'd be a case of, well, would it be somebody plays the aliens and somebody plays Shadow? Would you have several people playing Shadow and several people playing the aliens? Or would you have it initially as a cooperative game and then make an expansion where it's like you can play as the aliens if you want to?
I must admit, I think if it was me, I'd go with if I was doing the role-playing game, I would definitely have it as you are Shadow.
Yeah.
Because mainly the aliens have got so many weird plans, you couldn't possibly write them all down. You'd be like, which one's this week? Oh, is there any continuity? You would just have all your players sitting around going, but last week you said the aliens did this. And you were going, yep, just like the TV program, I'm changing the rules. I think this week the aliens are trying to kill everyone. Well, I think you'll find that last week they were trying to steal our bodies. Well, I know that was last week. And that's what it would be like, because that would be true to the program.
Yes.
So, you were saying that there are quite a few people in this that I should recognise. Now, we've covered Stephanie Beacham. The fact that she isn't in Doctor Who.
No, but she did appear in an episode of The Protectors.
Right.
So, yes, she's our first member of Anderson Watch.
Right. I am beginning to suspect that the only people who weren't in The Protectors is us.
Yeah. Yes. But so are we just going to dive straight into...
To be fair, I think we should. Unless there's something you need to cover.
No, I don't think so. I think we can dive into... And it'd be great to finish off talking about... As I said, we should talk about Dennis Spooner to finish both of these off. So we have a handful of actors who've been in other things. So Peter Blythe, who plays the second officer on board the ship, appears again in Psycho Bombs as a different character called Lieutenant Blythe. So they were clearly doing that whole we're going to name the character after the actor thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where you go, well, given the continuity, is he the same person? Because he's just listed as second officer in this one, and you could just go, well, he's been recruited by Shadow after that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because they have seen flying saucers.
Yep. You have skydiver captain David Warbeck. So that's the other thing about this is you get a whole new skydiver crew because it's the new production block. So you have David Warbeck, who plays the captain, and Barry Stokes, who plays the engineer, who both come back in Reflections in the Water, which is a sort of other submarine-based episode of this block. And then Barry Stokes also appeared in an episode of Space 1999. So again...
Hooray!
I mean, it is the thing, isn't it? Like, anybody who appeared in UFOs, a good chance would get recast a few years later, either in The Protectors or Space 1999. And
sorry.
then,
While I was on, I've just remembered something important for the news. You know the way that Doctor Who was on Twitch?
yes, Thunderbirds is going to be
Right.
on Twitch.
Thunderbirds is going to be on Twitch, and I just thought we should announce that to the world, because the whole world can watch Thunderbirds.
Yes. Now, the question is,
yes.
because they've said it's going to be remastered in HD, is it going to be the annoying 16:9 cropped versions that were released on Blu-ray, or are they finally going to broadcast it original 4:3 in HD?
If it's Twitch, the chances are it would be 4:3, but they wouldn't go to the hassle of reformatting them, though.
No. Well, we'll see.
Yes, sorry about that. I just needed to get that out there.
No, that's fine. So we have a couple of Doctor Who people before we get to Dennis Spooner. So we have this must have been a blink and you'll miss him. We had Jimmy Winston.
Absolutely no knowledge.
He played one of the ratings on board the ship. Probably one of the ones with a mask across his face. You couldn't even see it properly. But he played Shura in Day of the Daleks. Who's the one who blows up the house at the end?
Right.
And
I do like Day of the Daleks.
He's very recognisable in Day of the Daleks. So the fact that I didn't spot him means that his face must have been very obscured. And then you have, of course, Edwin Richfield playing pretty much the same character as he played in the Sea Devils, or rather, in the Sea Devils, he plays pretty much the same character he plays here.
Oh yes.
And he also then played Mestor in the Twin Dilemma, but you wouldn't know that unless you'd looked at the credits.
Right. Yes. Did he?
Yes.
That's the same.
Yes. So you didn't even know that, Michael. Yes. I'm sure he would rather have just been remembered for his Sea Devils role, which is very good, as opposed to his Twin Dilemma role, which is pretty pants. Not his fault. It's the story.
Sorry, they got someone that good to play Nestor.
Exactly. I know.
No.
I think when you know it's him, you can tell it's his voice. But
I am so going to. Right, you'll not hear me say these words very often. I think I'll go and watch Twin Dilemma. It's alright. It's past. It's gone now. It's fine. It was a moment of madness.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'll go and watch Time Lash instead.
Well, you are allowed to go and watch that. But I would recommend that you watch the UFO episode called Time Lash and not the Doctor Who version.
I might go and do that. That's fine. Right. So,
Dennis Spooner. What can you tell me about Dennis Spooner, Michael?
He's got definite Dalek connections.
Yes, he does.
Or am I wrong?
No, he has Dalek connections. Should we deal with his Anderson stuff first?
Yes, you can. No problem at all.
Because
off you go.
Did you? So you didn't know this?
No.
Right. So the reason I'm glad that he wrote an episode of UFO because we get to talk about him here. But he is, in terms of kind of behind the scenes personnel, the biggie when it comes to crossovers between Jerry Anderson and Doctor Who in the 60s, because we'll talk about his Doctor Who in a minute. But he wrote 12 episodes of Stingray, 9 episodes of Fireball XL5, 6 episodes of Thunderbirds, and 1 episode of UFO, 1 episode of The Protectors. And obviously, so second to Alan Fennell, he wrote the most episodes of Stingray. 6 episodes of Thunderbirds is a reasonable whack of Thunderbirds. So he, as a writer, contributed a massive amount to the Anderson stable. And as far as I can tell, is the only writer who wrote for Anderson and Doctor Who. Somebody may correct me on that if I'm wrong about that, but it's clearly a massive crossover there.
Yeah.
So, and then as Doctor Who, he was script editor for most of the second season of Doctor Who, which would have coincided with him writing stuff for Thunderbirds, I think. Possibly Stingray, but probably Thunderbirds. And as such, he is the script editor that oversees the transition from that original TARDIS team to the one where Vicky replaces Susan, because his first story as script editor is The Rescue. And then he carried on being script editor all the way through to the end of that season with The Chase. But in terms of the episodes he actually wrote, he wrote The Reign of Terror from season 1, and then he wrote The Romans, The Time Meddler, in season 2 while he was script editor, and then he wrote the second half of the Darkness Master Plan because Terry Nation had run off on holiday, having written half of it.
It's the 60s.
Yes, and then the other thing, and this is perhaps the most important thing in terms of the longevity of the show, he helped to do a bit of script editing, uncredited, on Patrick Troughton's very first episode.
Right.
So as a figure who, as a behind-the-scenes figure, he is, as I say, the biggest crossover that there is between the worlds of Anderson and Who. Deserves to be celebrated as such.
No, I had no idea about the Anderson
stuff.
side of things. I knew the Doctor Who end of things, but I had no idea of his how steeped he is in it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, and as I said, he must have been writing for both of them at the same time. If you look at the dates that he was script editor for Doctor Who, Thunderbirds and I think it's probably Thunderbirds would have been in production at the same time. So
yeah,
that is a massive thing to have been working on. I don't necessarily know about the quality of some of his episodes of Thunderbirds. They're not the greatest, but certainly in terms of his overall output, and this episode of UFO in particular, although that, like you say, it may just be a case of bad information on the part of. But you wouldn't think it could have got that far into production without somebody going, "Hang on, this doesn't make sense that the aliens are doing this." But otherwise, it's a great piece of writing.
No, I don't understand how that particular plot hole gets past, unless it's like somebody. I mean, Straker could have said, "I don't know what they're doing. Perhaps they've changed their master plan."
Yeah.
That's another worrying development. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is also that last little line of the episode where Straker speculates as to how many other people are being blackmailed by the aliens in this way, and that's just left and never explored. And you kind of think that these episodes are potentially setting up a season 2 of UFO, which we know was eventually planned but then never happened. And you just wonder how many of those ideas would have been taken through had it gone to a second season. Thanks again for joining us. Good to talk to you again, Michael. Next week we are looking at what episode?
Next time it is episode 21, The Man Who Came Back.
Okay, well, we will see you all then.
Be seeing you.
Be seeing you.